And when it expired, one of us, I said, hey, it's expiring, so, come on, take the car, Fill it up with great.
Shabbat Shalom, we are beginning. Good evening. We are beginning. And as you know, it's become a recent, I won't say tradition, but a practice. We have some song sheets, and we occasionally interpose songs within the more traditional service. But for now, we'll begin on page number 5 in the Siddur, on page 5 of the Shalom Aleichem, which is a song, a prayer, addressing angels. Angels are joining us at this moment. And what you can take with you is that the song conveys the message that the angels come here to gain a blessing from us. We must be dramatic and significant if angels seek out our blessing. And only upon our extending a blessing, which is a blessing through song, do these angels symbolically then go on to the next home, the next Jewish home, the next Jewish home, the next synagogue, and so on. Page 5. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Ashoret, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We turn now to page 11, Lachuna Ranana. L'chon eranen al Adonai, nari al etzur yishenu, nekad mafanav b'todah, b'thmirot nari alo, nekad mafanav b'todah, b'thmirot nari alo, kiel gadol Adonai umelech gadol al kol Elohim asher biyado mekerei aretz v'toafot harim lo asher biyado mekerei aretz v'toafot harim lo. The English on page 12. For Adonai is our God, and we are God's flock, sheep in God's caring hands. If only you would listen today to God's voice and not become hard-hearted like the people at Merivah, like that time at Massah in the desert, when your ancestors tried me and tested me, though they had seen what I had wrought. For 40 years I was troubled by that generation, and I said, these are people whose hearts have gone astray. They do not know my way. So in anger I swore they would not enter. 40 shana kut fedor v'omaram toei levavhem v'hem lo yidu drachai asher nishbati v'api im yivon el menuchati. On page number 16, on the English side. Worshippers of idols be shamed for praising false gods. All that is deemed supreme bow before God. Zion hears of it and rejoices. The cities of Judah exult. As you, Adonai, pass judgment. You, Adonai, are above all that is earthly, exalted over all that is worshipped as divine. Those who love Adonai hate evil. God protects the lives of the faithful, saving them from the hands of the sinful. Light is sown for the righteous and joy for the upright. Rejoice in Adonai, you righteous people, and thank God as you pronounce the divine holy name. Look at that last stanza on page 16. This is from the book of Psalms. It's in the Siddur now, but it's from the book of Psalms. This phrase teaches a message that each and every one of us is righteous. This psalm is rooting for us. This psalm says, you are good, and you are caring, and you are just, and you have the capacity to transform the world around you for the good, for the better. But we're not in this alone, because God has placed light here for us. It's the first line of that last stanza, light is sown. So light is here for us. This is from the Psalms 3,000 years ago, which is probably before we Jews began to light Friday night candles. Probably established that practice about 2,000 years ago. But it's on my mind that the Psalms are teaching we belong in this world and to this world, and we have a role to play to bring light and caring in every aspect of our lives. Which is why we also have these two song sheets, and the first one has a song by Debbie Friedman, which I think she wrote within the mindset, you might say, of lighting the Friday night candles, but it's a beautiful message.
Oh, hear my prayer, I sing to you. Be gracious to the ones I love, and bless them with goodness and mercy.
Makes us feel like dancing. Now we're on page 21, Mizmor David, page 21, Mizmor David. Mizmor LeDavid, Havu Adonai b'nei Elim, Havu Adonai kavod oz, Havu Adonai kavod shemo, Hishtachavu Adonai b'hadrat kodesh. Kol Adonai al amayim el kavod hirim Adonai al mayim rabim Kol Adonai ba'koach Kol Adonai behadar Kol Adonai shaver arazim Vaishaber Adonai et arzei alvanon Vayarkidem kamo egel Lebanon v'sirion kamo ven reimim Kol Adonai chotzev lahavotesh Kol Adonai Yachil midbar Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh Kol Adonai Yechol el ayalot Vayechesof ya'arot Ovechalo kolo amer kavod Adonai lamabul yashav Vayeshev Adonai melech le'olam Adonai oz le'amo yiten Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. We turn out to the Lacharodi on page number 23. The first three stanzas on page number 23, and then the last three stanzas on page number 25. Lecha dodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela Lecha dodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Hishmi'anu el hamayuchad Adonai echad u'shmo Echad l'shem otif eret v'litila Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha Ki mekor habracha Merosh mikedem nesucha Sof ma'aseh b'machashava techila Lecha dodi likrat kala P'nei Shabbat nikabela Mikdash melech ir melucha Kumitzei mitoch afecha Rav shevet be'emek habacha V'hu yachamol alayechem lam Lecha dodi likrat kala P'nei Shabbat nikabela 25 Ve'hayu lim shisa shosayich V'rachaku kol mevalayich Yasis alayich Elohayich Kimsos chatan al kala Lecha dodi likrat kala P'nei Shabbat nikabela Yamin u'smol tifrotzi V'yet Adonai taritzi Al yad ish ben partzi V'nismecha v'nagila Lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nikavela, boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzahala, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, lecha dodi likrot kala, pnei Shabbat nikabela. Remaining standing for just a moment, we turn now to page number 27. Shabbat is now in the building. Look at the very first stanza, the top of page 27. It is good to thank you, Adonai, and sing to your name most high, to proclaim your love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night. We can stop there. When the Siddur is being constructed, there is great deliberation and great care with the placement of every single passage, every paragraph, every phrase, every word. And it's placed here immediately after Boi, because Shabbat is now here. So what can we absorb from the juxtaposition of the Chadudi, which is welcoming Shabbat, with the first phrase here of this psalm, which is nicknamed the Psalm of Shabbos, that it's important for us to say thank you. And if we don't say thank you every day, at least say thank you once a week. And when might we be motivated to say thank you? When we stop and we look at the transition between day and night. And we realize the whole world is here. And that reminds me of a Jewish teaching, a mystical teaching, that every morning you and I can get up in the morning and say, the entire universe was created just for me. What an awesome experience. What beauty. The whole world was built just for you to enjoy. Isn't that amazing? It's fabulous. Every one of us should be smiling like joy right here. Shabbat's a reminder that we're here to enjoy the world and the beauty, and we sing over that. The conclusion, page 28, the last two stanzas. Tzadik hatamar yifrach ke'erez balbanon yizgah shetulim beveit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu o yenuvon beseva tishenim verananim yeyu le'agid ki ashar Adonai tzuri v'lo avlatavo. The Borcho, please, remaining standing, page 39b. Baruch hu et Adonai amavorach. Baruch Adonai amavorach le'olam v'ed. As we're seated, this bracha, a moment of silence. Baruch Adonai. El Chai v'Kayam, Tamidim L'Chalein L'Olam V'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. But before we turn the page, looking at page 39b, remember that the introduction to the evening service is, again, mindfulness over light and dark, which is why I have this second song here on the song sheet. It's from Ilana Jacoda, who is a well-known contemporary Sephardic vocalist, musician, singer. And it emphasizes the importance of light in the heart. And in consideration of the next paragraph, which speaks of love and the Shema, which amplifies that theme, you can understand why it's important to sing along with Lana Jagoda here at this point. It's on the bottom of that song sheet. It's not Debbie Friedman's piece, it's Alana Jagoda's. Alana Jagoda.
I'm gonna light this candle for the joy in our heart. I'm gonna light this candle for tomorrow's brand new start. I'm gonna light this candle for those who know of darkened days, so they may trust the light is on its way. Gonna light this light tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna light this light tonight. I'm gonna light this candle for those who feel alone. I'm gonna light this candle that they may find their way home. I'm gonna light this candle for those whose hearts are broken, so they may know that God has heard the prayers they've spoken. Gonna light this light tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna light this light tonight. I'm gonna light this candle for turning our lives upside down. I'm gonna light this candle for finding stillness as the world turns round. I'm gonna light this candle for the children who are great believers, so they may know they are our greatest teachers. Gonna light this light tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna light this light tonight. I'm gonna light this candle for me. I'm gonna light this candle 'cause this is right where I'm supposed to be. I'm gonna light this candle so that we may walk our own true path, 'cause there ain't no use in looking back. Gonna light this light tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna light this light tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna light this light tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna light this light tonight.
Light and love. We're on page 40, and I've taught you before a term. It's chatima. Chatima means the closure of every bracha. So for example, when you look at page number 40, the first two words are Ahavat Olam, or with timeless love. That's a bracha. How do you know it's a bracha? Because it ends with Baruch Atah, God's name. That's a bracha. Shema's not a bracha, because it doesn't have Baruch Atah in it. Kaddish is not a bracha, doesn't have Shema in it. Aleinu is not a bracha, doesn't have Baruch Atah in it. Okay, we can go all the way down. Vishamru, not a bracha, no Baruch Atah. This is a bracha, because it's a Baruch Atah. So, the closing two lines always remind us to focus. In this case, light and love. Page 40. Do not ever withdraw your love from us. Baruch atah Adonai, who loves the people Israel. V'avotecho tasim imenu l'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. page 41. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'avta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayol hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'aderech u'v'shachbecha v'kumecha u'kishartam liot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'sharecha. A few moments of silence, perhaps the Hebrew or the English on page 41 and 42. Adonai Elohechem emet. We turn now to the Michamocha on page number 44. Umalchuto beratzon kiblu aleim Moshe u'Miriam u'bnei Yisrael lechanu shira b'simcha rabba v'yamru chulam mi chamocha po'elim Adonai mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh noratilot oseifelet malchutecha ra'u v'necha bokeh yam lifnei Moshe zeli anu v'yamru Adonai yimloch la'olam v'ed v'nemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov ugalo miyad chazar mimenu baruch ata Adonai gal Yisrael. On page 45 we have the Hashkivenu. And when the Hashkivenu was composed 2,000 years ago, no one who composed it or recited it could imagine that there'd be Jewish people waiting 485 days for their family to come home from tunnels underground. No one could have imagined that. In wildest fantasies of terror. So we have to add something to the Hashkivenu that could not ever have initially been constructed and composed within. Our heart, our love, our loyalty, our connection to our fellow Jews, to the people of Israel. And we say, Hashkivenu Adonai, our God, to sleep peacefully. Awaken us to life, O Sovereign. Spread over us your canopy of peace. Restore us with your good counsel. And save us for the sake of your name. Shield us. Remove from us enemies, pestilence, sword, starvation, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings. For you, God, watch over and deliver us. And you, God, are sovereign, merciful, and compassionate. Ensure our going and coming for life and peace now and forever. May you spread over us your canopy of peace. Who spreads the canopy of peace over us, for all the people, Israel, and over Jerusalem. Over Israel, over all the people, Israel, over all their families, the hostages, and everyone else. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. The top of page 46. V'shamro v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam barit olam b'nei u'bein b'nei Yisrael oti la'olam oti la'olam oti la'olam v'shamro v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam barit olam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et haaretz v'shamro v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam barit olam. Uvayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash v'shamro v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbav v'chayechon v'yom echon uv'chayei nechol beit Yisrael bagala uv'izman kariv v'meru amen Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach L'olam yol me'ol maya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitruman v'yinaseh v'yinhadar v'yitalal Shemei dekodesh abrechu Leila min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'yimeru amen. Before we rise, you know the Amidah on Shabbos is comprised of 7 blessings. And you know that the last bracha, it's on page 51 here, both in the evening service and also in the morning service and tomorrow's afternoon service, It's always the 7th bracha, and it's always the blessing for shalom. May there be peace. You probably know this, but from a point of view within what's called Kabbalah or mysticism, we Jews are partners with God. We are partners in creation. So tonight, as we offer the prayer, we might be offering our own silent personal thoughts or prayers, or we might fall into the text or back and forth. When we see this 7th prayer, the blessing for peace on page 51, it's not enough to ask God to bless us with shalom. We have to do in some way our part to bring shalom into the world. That's what partners do. We rise now to the traditional prayer, page 47 to 52, or a few moments of silent, private prayer. Long, long time ago, I was a little boy. And I heard a story when I was a little kid. And I'm going to tell you the story. And they might know part of it, but I don't think they know the rest of it. Once, there was a mother, and she had a baby. She was afraid that somebody was going to take the baby and attack the baby. So she hid the baby in a basket, put the basket in the water, and said to the older sister, "Watch over this baby and make sure he's okay." And And the basket floated away, and the basket floated to a riverside house. And there was a princess living inside the house. And the princess came out, she opened the basket, and she said, "Oh, look at this wonderful baby." And she picked up the baby, and she cradled the baby. And then bigger sister came over and said, "Do you need somebody to help you take care of the baby?" "Yes, I know who can help you." And she brought the baby's own mother to take care of the baby when the baby was little. But then the baby grew older and grew up. And then the princess adopted the baby. And the princess gave the baby the name Moshe, which is an Egyptian name spoken by an Egyptian princess. And it means, I took him up out of the water. The most famous Jewish person in all of Jewish history, in all of world history, bears an Egyptian name from an Egyptian woman who adopted him. And how often do we think about that? But that's not why I want to tell you the story, because the story continues. Going back to, at one point, before he grew really big, he was still playing in the king's house, the father of the princess. And he was sitting on the lap of the king, and he reached up and he took the crown off the king's head and put it on his own head, just like that. And everybody went, "Oh!" And some people were very afraid, and some people were very excited. The people who were excited said, "What a playful boy, taking the crown off the king's head and putting it on his own head." But other people said, "Your Majesty, this means that someday he's going to grow older, and he's going to overthrow you and take your kingdom away. You should kill him before he does so." And one man said, "Wait, let's come up with a test and just see, was he reaching for the crown for fun or for some other reason?" What's the test? They brought 2 plates of glowing bright stuff. One plate had bright jewels, another plate had bright glowing coals from an oven. Beautiful bright reds and blacks and colors. And so the baby, whom we now know is named Moses, reached for the jewels. But God sent the angel Gabriel, pushed his hand to the plate where there were glowing embers and coals, and he touched them, and they were hot. And what do we do when something is hot? Touch our mouths. And there was a little bit of a coal attached to baby Moses' fingers, and it landed on his tongue. And ever after, he was not able to speak very well. That's called etiological. It explains how something came to be. So this is an etiological midrash, and it explains how we can understand that Moses ended up growing to be a man who couldn't quite speak very well. The greatest public speaker in recorded history had some type of a speech deficit or impediment. More to discuss. But I want to go back to this midrash. When I was a child, I heard the story and I thought, oh, this is a Jewish story, it must be in the Torah. Well, I know that the basket piece of the story is yes in the Torah, but the part where he's sitting on the lap and then reaches for the crown, that's not in the Torah. And I didn't learn that until much later in my life. This is a midrash. We Jews literally have hundreds of volumes of books of midrash, maybe even thousands, and we have tens of thousands of midrashim, some of them very short, some of them very long. And all these midrashim emerge at varying times in our lives and in our history all across the world where Jewish people lived. And the reason they came to be is because somebody was curious. Somebody was not satisfied with reading the text and leaving it alone, but somebody invested himself or herself in the text and saw a need to add some kind of an interesting point or observation or comment. But it was always taught that Midrash is not Torah. Midrash is not Torah, but it is, you might say, the seasoning of the fish or the chicken or the beef. It adds something to the Torah, but it's not Torah. And all this is on my mind because I want to tell you Midrash that's attached to tomorrow's Torah reading. And now you know about Midrash. By the way, the Midrash about Moses with the crown is found in a book called Exodus Rabbah, which is a fairly young compilation of Midrash, only somewhere between 1,000 and 1,200 years old. Many of our Midrashim are 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 years old. Some may be older, but in terms of the books that we find them in, that's another story. But what's on my mind tonight is tomorrow's Torah reading, because it's exceptionally important. We leave Egypt tomorrow in the parsha known as Beshalach. The plagues ended in last week's Torah reading, and we're finally leaving Egypt after 210 years of slavery, of being abused and oppressed. We walk out, and we come to the Sea of Reeds. It's not red, it's Reed Sea. Somebody didn't know Hebrew and mistranslated and then lost the E. It's Reed Sea. We come to the Reed Sea, and the mightiest fighting force is right behind us. 600 chariots bearing down on pedestrian slaves, and they must have been terrified. And we all know, because we saw the movies, the water splits and we walk through, and the Egyptian army comes chasing after us into the water. And as we cross over, the waters come crashing down, swallowing up the Egyptian army. And we all know about this because it's Exodus chapter 15. And we actually have named this section of the Torah. It's called the Shirat Hayam, because people spontaneously burst into song. We sing the song about the sea, the song of the sea. Exodus chapter 15, Shirat Hayam. It's in the Siddur. We say it every single day of the year. And it's taken from tomorrow's Torah reading. But the Midrash that I'm going to tell you right now is known to only some. Because as the people are singing on the other side of the water, according to this fascinating Midrash, angels begin to sing in heaven. And the angels are singing and dancing. And God asks the angels in this Midrash, why are you singing and dancing? And they say, because the Egyptians are drowning. They're no longer a threat. The abusers, the slave masters, the taskmasters, the brutalizers are drowning. We're singing and dancing. And God shushes them and says, shh, how dare you sing? My children are drowning. End of Midrash. And it strikes me that someone, I don't know who because we don't know the composer of this Midrash, saw something missing, and instead of adding something that tasted beautiful, like fish and meat being enhanced with the seasoning, this commentary says, wait, people are drowning, they are suffering, and we cannot sing. What drove that ancient Jewish writer to be empathetic enough with adversaries and enemies to say that God told angels to stop singing? I would say that's empathy to the nth degree. What promoted that somebody to take a stand that even though those people are not like you and me, in their own experiences, they don't deserve to suffer?
We did that when we touched the wine and we sacrificed the wine.
It's the same idea when we're in the Seder and it's on the night of Pesach, and we open the Haggadah, we read the plagues, and we take a little bit of wine out of the goblet, because a goblet that's full is symbolic of overflowing joy and happiness, and we voluntarily diminish our own joy because we know that people who are our adversaries still had to suffer in order for us to gain our freedom. Exactly right. It's the same idea. And the other point, which your husband will attest to, is, and that's why firstborn Jews fast on the day leading up to the first Seder. If the Seder is Tuesday night, firstborn Jews traditionally fast all day Tuesday leading up to, remember, the Seder is a banquet. You may not realize it, but it's a feast. We voluntarily fast because we're remembering that people had to suffer in order for us to gain our freedom. If we study Torah as a minyan, then the fast is obviated. We'll talk about that again some other point because I want to get back to this. But we have elements in our tradition, ceremonial in terms of the Seder and the firstborn fast, and we might say educational or pedagogic in terms of this body of material known as Midrash, that are motivating us to try to look past our own experiences, even when our own experiences have been those of enslavement. I just wonder if there's room for me to take hold of that in my own life today. We have Jewish people who were enslaved under Gaza. We have Jewish families who are enslaved because their loved ones are hostages. We have Jewish people across the world who have suffered for being Jewish. Is there room in my mind and in my heart for the same driving force that prompted that anonymous composer of that midrash to teach that in some corner of our minds and hearts, we're not to see our adversaries suffering? Is there room for that? And that's something that each and every one of us will ask. May we have a Shabbat of greater understanding of Shalom.
Well, I thought that Moses used his brother Aaron to speak because he had a slur in his speech. He had,
That's a good point. So you're right. When Moses is first commissioned by God at the burning bush to go speak to Pharaoh, Moses says, I can't speak. God says, take your brother Aaron. And in many of the scenes in the last two Torah readings that we had last week and 2 weeks ago, we have Aaron and Moses speaking together, but there are some scenes where Moses speaks by himself. And the next point, just to remember, is that when we ultimately get to Mount Sinai, who does the talking? Moses. So again, we have this man who has some type of limitation, and he talks to God, and he talks to people, and he changes the world because the world now has the 10 statements, the 10 words, as a function of a man who couldn't quite speak well. Try to imagine our world's society or civilization without the 10 great words. We don't call them commandments in Hebrew. They're called the 10 words. That's a mistranslation again. We rise the Olenu on page number 56, page 56. Hey, Joy, come here. Come here. One. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol latet gedula liotzer breshit shelo asanu k'goyei aratzot velo samanu k'mishpachot adamam shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ ומושב יקרה בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגבי מרמים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו ככתוב בתורתו וידעת היום לשבת אל לבבך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, Shema Echad. Please now we remain standing. Kaddish is on page number 58. I mentioned this last week. I don't know why it took so long, but I guess my brain was just not somewhere. But last week I had this idea, it popped in my head. I think we should rename the Kaddish. We should call it the Loving Kaddish, because the purpose of the Kaddish is to express love. It's called Kaddish Yatom. People call it in English the mourner's Kaddish. But there's no mention of sorrow in the Kaddish. No mention of mourning, no mention of grief, not one word of, ouch, I stubbed my toe, nothing. It's all praise and hope. And on this Shabbat we remember with great love Harry Rosen, Leah Silverstein, Herman Silver, is that your father? Alice Morningstar, Paula Lubell, Leopold Gutel, Ruben Lubell, Bernice Rossner, Florence Bloom Gaynor, Robert Schreibman, Shirley Weinstein, Esther Preston, Julius Alvin Arian. Are there any other names to mention this evening? Perhaps those running in at home have a name to share, and we're thinking about all of our people in Israel who suffered and all those families who have lost their loved ones. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, Amen. Be'olma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chaye chon v'yomei chon v'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'v'zaman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mivarach Lo'olam Lo'olmei Olmaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yithadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shmei Dekudesha Brichu La'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechamata Da'ami ran ba'olma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. We are seated, La Briot. We just prayed for peace for everyone. And we'll conclude in a moment with Yigdal on page number 62, because we haven't sung Yigdal in a while, and we need to remember Yigdal. We're on page 62. 62. Yigdal Elohim Chai v'yishtabach nimtzav yenet el metziuto echad v'yen yachid keyichudo ne'lam v'gam ein sof la'achduto ein lo demut haguf v'yen aguf lo na'aroch elav of kedushato kadmon l'chol davar asher nivra rishon v'en reshit l'reshito hino adon olam v'chol notzar yoreg gdulato u'malchuto shefa nevuato nitan Elon Shesegulato Betif Arto Lokam B'Yisrael Kemosheod Navi Umabit Et Temunato Torat Emet Natan Liyamoel Al Yad Neviyo Neman Beito Lo Yachalifael Velo Yamir Dato Laolamim Lazulato Sofev Yodeyam Sitarenu Mapit Lesop Davar Bekadmato Gomel Ish Chesed Kamifalo Notain L'Rashara Krishato Yishlach Leketz Yamin Meshichenu Liftot Machake Ketz Yeshuato Meitim Yechayel Berov Chasto Baruch Adeyad Shem Tilato Meitim Yechayel Berov Chasto Baruch Adeyad Shem Tehilato. Good Shabbos. We'll rise for Kiddush and Motzi in just a minute. And to all those at home, we hope to see you in the near future. May God bless you. Please know you're an important part of our lives. You are loved. Until we see each other at some point, good Shabbos, you are loved. Shabbat Shalom.